nhớ rong roi trong này chỉ cái đang trả chăm hoa thế chuột nhớ tao vào tại trên nu nói ya Thursday là ya nu đi plan được cho kiểu họ lu bay lì thì năng gạo xong ở phần năng gạo chi thằng này ya ở thành một bay phân ta số này chỉ chán đủ nhớ rong rong là nu nói rong đi xó ta cái xó đó bên này chỉ cái đang trả nhớ đâu bên luôn trong Saint Paul thế luôn trong Minneapolis ta chỉ nói rong ya block your all degree xó chỉ chán đủ nữa rong 你这个等于讲和 program 呢，要和 program 浪的这个朋友的，路上动 WXK，的老百姓听听，路上动要到新坡，天龙中 Minneapolis 这个我后来我给了么，把操到家那没被生呢，这个等于讲要到龙中 Minneapolis，就从第二比较忙，可能和 program 呢要和的古龙中 Minneapolis 和 program，他在当内错人错度了，那必须他说会叫弄。你叫我呢，我自己叫去当到比他家打到老，容些在当内哈，叫你都一直叫天龙一路里头呢，我二十古多的时候我叫呢，他头nu Thursday 的路一路里头天nu Thursday ที่เป็น的一路里头嘅，安 nu Thursday 呢要头二等大数，这边等大数，要安 nu 古多的时候我叫呢，我路叫能扩出生要好弄到 Minneapolis 叫 program ที่เก็บปัจจุบันนี่จิกตันจะตัวถ่ายตอนนี้จิกตันจะนี่ตอนน้อ ที่ชิตาเรนดาลูชาแต่หลุงจงมิเนียปลิสเตียจานี่จิกตินจานยาหลุงจงมิเนียปลิสนี่ก็นักข่าวหูยามูจงมิจาเลยกูตัวสัตว์ตรงเดือดด้วยเจ้าอีออเปอชาออีเปสุนเจ้าอีออเปอชาออีเปสุนเชื่อใจตอนนี้เจ้าเนี่ยจีเชื่อแล้วตัวเราไปชิตาที่กูออถือขวดชื่อเซงตัวตาหลุงจงมิเนียปลิสตัวอีตัวหัวซุนโนอีตัวหัวทงนี่นะที่เปรียบตากาซุนโนเลยที่ทงนี่เป็นมาทันเราทงนี่อยู่ฐานเราเนี่ยนู่นนอให้จะเดีย human trafficking เลยย่อย sex trafficking ที่ opioid awareness อ๋อขอหน่อยอ๋อขอจริงจังจะ program เนี่ยเขาลุ้นจงมีเนี่ย plus ว่าแต่ชินอตาต่อเราหมู่ป้าตัวป้า能到路线头了的是真 continue 了也真班子木头叫你几个等下诶弄那边么都朋友或是弄那你都 senior advisor for human trafficking prevention 你ตัวนับไปชิตาเดียวอยู่ใน家ที่里ว่าเป็นนี่几个等下ที่包的的 human เลย sex trafficking 那你用一家เขาเกยอยู่ที่ไทยใน用一家叫เกยป้าจัวเขาลูก community เขาลูกเรียกเป็นย้อนเนี่ย那就用一家呢，那家我呢我自己有点莫是当你烧糊了过了到周一要不要下按一倍数，好 tax 过了到呢诶，你要收收入，你要收或者呢这收入要不多，或是身体一被其他大了嘛，到同你其他找 public health，你要到龙中 Minneapolis。Sunu, welcome to WIXK. Thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to be with us. Greatly appreciate the work that you and your team has done for many, many years to continue to support all of our residents in the city of Minneapolis. Can you please tell us about yourself and what you do at the city of Minneapolis? Minneapolis Minneapolis.
Thank you so much, Michael. Good afternoon to your listeners and viewers, and thank you so much for the time to come and share about the work that I do in the city of Minneapolis, of course, in partnership with many other internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, community leaders, and survivor leaders alike. Once again, my name is Sunu Shrestha. I'm the city's senior advisor, and I oversee a portfolio of work that intersects with human trafficking and exploitation in the city of Minneapolis. My primary job includes implementation of the blueprint on human trafficking and exploitation. The blueprint is a product, a document that includes a comprehensive recommendations on policies and practices and investment in programs and services. And this document, we produced this document in collaboration with 50 individuals representing different organizations outside of the city and many internal city departments in over 3 years of time.
让夏天的那个被和是牛天，我看到你帮我爹个要都，那么的周天下去我真的考 human trafficking 天考我 sex trafficking 那天，我看到你帮我爹个的么多，你弄中么呢 plus 那天，กูยิ่งยอดตัวละมูลป้าจีจาคอมบลูพรินต์และยอดยอดเทียบเชิงแต่ว่าเกใช้หัวและยอดเกชื่อใช้หัวจะนักขอhuman ที่ sex trafficking นะเด็กที่เราในเป้าลินเดียที่นี่ đó của tế đây tế đây nó của khi đó này bảo hay thì muốn tao giờ của công tế cho rơi ra lô lấy thì cho trong nhau nợ ý chi nè bên luôn trong nào thì bên kia là một giờ ít chán tờ và bên kia là một chỉ cha là một ba trò lú trong lô lấy lú rơi lú ra nó hay sao nào thì cho cái ba chuyện riêng cha thiên là chỉ biết là một ba sao nào cổ chi lăng năng quần lỡ sợ chế cho đâu ba bên nó biết là một chỉ cha đến đó nó nhớ họ biết lú ra nó nhớ họ cho tuổi sáng nó và biết là một chỉ biết lú chồng cho một chỉ cha khó cho thiết sang nó nhở.
So, how is the city of Minneapolis working to raise awareness about sex trafficking as such a important topics? And you talked about the engagement blueprint. Can you share with us how the city is working to raise those awareness? Hai cho lung trong Minneapolis ne, ta shi no cho ho lu wa lung trong Minneapolis no nu wa kia cho ho lu long gong do ne ji ge den zha mo pie ne ji ge den zha shi da dia how sex trafficking like human trafficking no ni zhong li ya e ka shi de bao na ya ta li no to pe shi ya ne ji ge den zha ti to to de zhong li ya na.
Michael, traditionally, we approached or we used the public safety lens to combat the issue of human trafficking, which includes both labor trafficking and sex trafficking, and exploitation, which includes sexual exploitation and labor exploitation. Over the years, we've learned so much about these intersectional issues with human trafficking, and we've really tried to reframe the issue of human trafficking and exploitation to be that of a public health issue, of course, public safety issue. It's a human rights issue, and of course, it's a human services issue. And it's on all of us to recognize the signs and to act, to be proactive about it. When I say proactive, learning the signs to prevent before human trafficking and exploitation happen, or intervene in situations through services and other forms of intervention methodologies that will help to provide appropriate resources and responses to victims and survivors. So this blueprint actually includes all of these strategies, which all combined will not only intervene in situations of human trafficking and exploitation, but implementation of these recommendations will also help to prevent all forms of human trafficking and exploitation. Awareness is a critical piece of tackling, combating human trafficking and exploitation. And many people many years ago were not aware of human trafficking, especially here in our own state. People assumed it or thought it to be a problem that happened elsewhere, or people who were internationally trafficked, who migrated here were victim survivors of human trafficking. But that is not the case. That is not the only case. People who are born in the United States continue to be victims of human trafficking. They are as equally vulnerable as a foreign-born victim survivors to be exploited and trafficked. So in the city of Minneapolis, we've created a web page that provides resources on services that are available in our community throughout the state of Minnesota for victim survivors who are in these situations, but then also for people who want to learn more about what these issues are and what kind of resources and survivors there exist in our community, so they could refer people out to these survivors. So you can find all this information on our web page, which is Minneapolis, which is MINNEAPOLISMN.gov/human-trafficking-resources. We also started the Sex Trafficking Thrives in Silence campaign to bring greater awareness to this important issue. And this campaign is a collaboration between the department that I'm housed in, which is Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, and Minneapolis Public Health Department. And the campaign is funded by Minnesota Department of Health.
我那天还做的这个把药做叫你这个，然后包做来的和 sex trafficking 咯，然后有点你的能么话来的 human trafficking 咯，么么咯的也是那那你要靠真正的很天，靠被一个么真多着人啊，那被生了有你自己了个了包做个那么，要被洗了的路差少得咯，然后有的呀少数差得着就那没被生个了包做的那天。เขาจึงยิ่งชอบเรามาเยอะขอว่าไปเจอหมดถาสลายเตียจะเกนนักก้าหัวหูแต่อีตัวนึงตื้อหนึ่งมั่วใจก่อนหนึ่งเตียย่อตัวเกนมั่วเกนยัดเส้นนายอ่ะที่อยากจะสมมติเคพอชีตัวอีตัวนึงตื้อนายอ่ะใจนะมาแล้วมั่วยันขอเตีย human right เทียนนายอ่ะเจคนนั้นก็ย่อยที่อยากว่าไปเจอหมดชื่อที่ใช้หัวเทียที่ใช้เขาจึงยิ่งชาอยากขอเตียไปอย่าป้องตัวดิจานะย่อยเตียอีตัวนึงตื้อเราจะก็อยู่แล้วเลยอ่ะ tao nhia cho một年tiền rồi lấy tiền nhia cho một mua rồi thì giờ rồi nó bây giờ bảo tôi đi trả bây giờ 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 tao cá tao lưu cho nó còn nó thiết sẽ tiền cho và bây giờ bảo tôi tiền cho xài lấy giờ tí giờ và bây giờ bỏ tôi tiền muốn chỉ trong linh đời giờ trong nhà thì là nãy giờ gì bây cứ là một tháng cho lại tiền tí nó chữ sĩ thì ấy thợ chữ sĩ là bây giờ đi trả thì là giờ bảo tôi cho nên nó có xong mua cho tí mình nó cho chỉ chỉ cho lại thì bây cứ là một tháng cho giờ blueprint của nhau nó nó thì bây giờ mu song sa hay thì khó tính mình của tôi chỉ chỉ nó cũng như họ bị luôn trong nẹp là sang thì chỉ có mất cái rau lấy thì ở bây chúng ta là cho nên sự tôi cứ sao tôi là hay thì ô thì rau khó nó nên chỉ chỉ khó nó nên chỉ chỉ nhau cũng luôn trong nên chỉ chỉ nhau cũng luôn rồi thì chỉ khi nó nên bảo tiền nên chỉ nhau họ bị luôn trong thì ấy chỉ hay rồi tôi nên của tôi giờ là tôi bông cho bị lúc tới chờ nó rồi lấy tôi nên của yêu rồi lúc tới chờ nó cho nên nó là quy trình do ý tôi nên cho cái chỉ sợ là một bông cho cái nhà cái của liệt sĩ rồi nên nó thì là do tiệt trâu nhiều một quan niệm tiệt rồi là do tiệt trâu một một ở trên tiệt là một sex trafficking rồi do lấy tiệt là hồi tiệt human trafficking do luôn trong Minneapolis nó thì là cái khi nó bao tiệt mình đâu nhà cái ba chuột trâu cho nên vừa cho cái chỉ sợ nhớ đầu tiên sẽ sinh ra nó thì cái khi cho nên bao tiệt do nên sắp bao giờ gì nó là sau khi đến các một cái website Minneapolis.gov /human hyphen traffic ที่ resource ที่นี่ก็มั่วชาเลนเตอร์พี่ก็มั่วข้อกงเตเนี่ยจะหอแล้วลูกขอ campaign ว่าเราต้องมั่วจะมั่วเดียยิ่งตัวเราจะเนี่ยสิแล้วไม่เป็นสิ่งช่วยเล่นตัวกันแล้วเป้าใจเดียขอหน่อยนี่ขอจริงๆบริจาคจะเป็น
Thank you, Suno. Can you help us understand why is the city of Minneapolis doing this campaign? We have a lot of different program, but help our listener understand why does the city of Minneapolis cared about this and doing this campaign? Khi đó bây giờ vì cái lúc trong Minneapolis là nhiều thiên lý là một muốn cho họ lựa nó cho một thiết kế ba đô la mấy biết sinh.
On June of 2022, with the funding from Minnesota Department of Health, the City of Minneapolis, the Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Department, in partnership with Minneapolis Public Health, did a convening on the overlap of substance use disorder and human trafficking. What we discovered, and over the years, we've also heard from many victim survivors that there's a much greater awareness of these overlapping issues within providers that provide services to victims of human trafficking, while there is little awareness in treatment providers on these overlapping issues. What that means then is that, Michael, many victim survivors who are struggling with both of these experiences, who continue to be trafficked and are using substances to cope with their traumatic experiences. When they go to treatment providers to receive services, one of their victimization is not being dealt with. So they find themselves cycling in and out of these providers because the providers are not coordinating these services to provide them the holistic and the coordinated care that the victim survivors really need. So with that, we wanted to act. We wanted to respond to this big need, and decided to launch this campaign, Sex Trafficking Thrives in Silence, primarily to generate greater awareness, especially not only in treatment providers, but also with victim survivors who feel ashamed to receive services, who might think that there's no help, who might feel helpless in thinking that they'll be stigmatized because there is a greater stigma associated with substance use disorder. So we want victim survivors to know that there are resources, and they, if so choose to seek out these resources, they are more than welcome to seek out to these resources in the community for that. So this is really to destigmatize these topics so that survivor felt encouraged to receive services. And equally, we want the treatment providers to be aware, knowledgeable on these overlapping issues, so they are coordinating the other services that the victim survivors need by referring or by providing these services if they have these services in-house. And so to do that, we've created several posters and social media materials in collaboration with survivors. And these posters are put in bus shelters, light rails, and digital boards. You may have seen some of these messages in billboards across the city. And like I indicated, especially to reach those being trafficked and exploited, we recognize that they may be very scared or concerned about their own safety, privacy, and the stigma associated with it to seek help. So we put these posters in bathroom stalls across the city. This really provides privacy for people to feel safe when they are looking at these messes and hopefully seeking out for help.
Ôi nó thì khi đó này bảo thì chắc cái ba chuẩn nó bây giờ là một chỉ tra họ campaign nó giờ ba cho thì giờ là mấy bên sinh cái lớn chia tao cái ba chuẩn nhau họ luôn trong thì rồi xí lý thầu lúc trong linh tu ở pan nên gầu lúc trong linh tu nên gầu on the khi cho này bảo thì chắc cái nó cá họ hú nhau bên trong Minneapolis nó là tôi muốn chắc cái công ty gì về tao bỏ tao hay tiêm có social justice có mua vào hồ sơ luôn nhau còn đỡแล้วก็ตัวbỏ thì cho nên mua human trafficking nóแล้วก็bỏ rồi thìเขาnói do cho nênว่า这个只找呢路只到这个巴是10天了那哟thìเขาnói cũng vậyเขาbị bỏ rồi thìตอนนี้แต่เพื่อนที่เราหมดจีจ้าเขาลูกแคมเปญนะวิแต่จะเน่งว่าเจ้าเกจิจ่อเนาะยิ่งเยอะเขาเยอะเกินเก่าวิแต่เขาว่าแล้วเจ้าเกจิจ่อที่มดที่อยากว่าสัตว์เส้นเราต้อง支持เจ้าแล้วเลยที่เขาว่าแล้วอยู่ที่เลยให้เจ้าตัวเลยที่เมื่อขณะจุดนี้นะตัวเองอยู่ลาตัวหมดเลยอย่างนั้นที่主要这个是因是出ที่ดีป้าโตเจอแล้วจะกี่จออย่างเช่นจืดแล้วซื้อหยอดที่อยากเรียนน้อเทียที่กูบอกตัวเดียวจะนี่งอชอบเกจิจอนอนี่ก็มูหล่อเขาหมูชีชอเลยเทียนะหยอดที่อยากเรียนน้อกูแค่ตัวเราไปเป้าเลยเดียอีกวิลีน้อไปเที่ยวเยอะๆตัวจีใจเขาแคมเปญเรียนน้อที่เรียนป้าโตจะเล่นไม่ไปสิ่งเลยเดียวป้าโตจะนี่งอชอบเกจิจอนอก็เลยต้องใส่จะกี่ป้าว่าจีหยอแล้วมือป้าโตหลังเลยจะเต้นหนึ่งแต่น้อเที่ยba tàu cho nên我这个只找呢là một ba tàu nữa cái tiền này tông cái ba thế nào nãy giờ thì giờ rồi nó thì chỉ biết có thì bỏ tàu rồi thì còn là nó này giờ họ chỉnh trang cho ba tàu cho nên là trong mà sex trafficking law là giờ thì mà human trafficking law thì giờ rồi nó là giờ thì giờ ít nên ông mà cái phần chùa cho nó từ nên我这个只找rồi thì giờ rồi nó cứ cho là cứ bỏ tàu thì thế rồi là chăm mua thế rồi là cứ bỏ tàu thìแต่nó chỉ mới cái ba đấy chi thế rồi là cứ trai hẹn ở lối xa thì trở hay nó là thế rồi giờ chúng mình thì ba tàu lỡ thì nó nói rồi gì còn nó bị thì là một chỉ tra tàu họ campaign nó là một ba đó cho nên cho cái chỉ chọn nó ấy cả ai thì còn nó cứ ơi họ ở ba tàu lỡ gì thì nhớ cho họ lúc thì thế nó nói giờ cho là vềสิ่งsố lên cho tôi giờ thì tôi nên cho cái chỉ chọn nên nó là gì lúc tê lúc giờ thua lúc giờ hay này giờ chỉ rong thiên là nói gì thì giờ rồi nó giờ họ biết chỉ họ campaign nó là một ba rồi cho nên tôi cho cái chỉ chọn nó còn là mua ý lại bay lô lấy cho poster lô lấy choที่อยากได้ชีว่าพี่เรามูตีเตาคีเราตัวนี้ว่าชอบเกจิจอเนาะให้ดี bé một cái ba cho có hay cho có bảo hay tiệt yêu chỉ thật khi đó này từ tiệt bé một tí rồi nó tê bao nhiêu rồi đó tu cái lo bé một tí rồi đó actually tê hôn na lo tê có trong lo nhá hôn na để có khỏi chờ đợi nữa nhá tí lo đi tiệt có luôn là tu sắp bao tiệt ấy cho nên cho cái chỉ cho nó là có là tao chạy cái ba là một chờ là luôn nó ra tiệt tiệt cái ba cho là ấy còn là cho trai hay thì trai giống mấy thứ này từ sai chỉ tờ là lấy giờ thua là cho giá trị trong ấy bây giờ thiết cái ba cho là sao cho giá thì giá trong nó này nhá.
Suno, thank you. Suno, what are some of the signs of or sex trafficking or human trafficking that people should be on the lookout for, so that they could help protect their families? Hay cho cho tết cho cậu và lớn有看到你这个的人家包的，对吧？你摸human trafficking 了 sex trafficking 好古真能了那个叫那个包呢，也叫搞到那出去了呀，你这个的人家这里学习的里哇，把到了真能的。
Mhm. So what we call these are vulnerabilities. Research shows that people, young kids, who show signs of physical abuse or neglect, people, young kids, children, youth who are in foster care system, youth who are missing school or work regularly without any justifiable reasons, telling inconsistent or rehearsed stories. If you are asking them of their situation, if there's someone present with them and the person is interrupting or answering on behalf of the person, young person dating someone much older, young people running away frequently, young people who are homeless, young people who are dressing in a very provocative manner, putting up sexually inappropriate photos on different social media platforms, young people having unexplained gifts, really expensive possessions, things that are beyond their reach or reach of their family. And we also see people, young people, especially with tattoos that represent ownership. Traffickers or slash pimps often want to brand the victim survivors to exert their power and ownership. So these are some of the signs and indicators to mean that this person might be a victim of human trafficking and exploitation.
แต่อยากก็ว่านี่包到来一点，你要包到系啲ตัวนึงเนาะยัยตัวนึงว่าจะ给至少这里เขา啲 sex trafficking 呢，ยัย啲 human trafficking เนาะยัย要让的ว่ายันนึงว่า你中到了，就至少了，ยันนึงว่าย้อนเนี่ยขวดสีขวดหรือว่ารู้เจ了，ยันนึงว่า你หลอดจะเข้าห้องเรียน了，ว่ายัย啲จะมีอยู่ว่า你整อายุยาวแห่งว่า你ถ่ายอีตัวนึง老了，ยัมั่วอายุเกี่ยชันเด了。cho nên ua đi chừng lùa em chúng mà vào một trên nhau là lô là giờ thì cho nên ua nữ thay đua ấy bỏng cây lô thế giờ rồi nó là một cái thứ nên ua nữ tí thế giờ đua như nó social media ua bỏ nữ tên cây lô bỏ nữ chê lô thế giờ rồi nó là một cái thì cho nên ua đi chừng lùa thế ta chỉ nhau nữa yếu mua nhẹ là một yếu tôi thế giờ không kỳ thế cái ua pin bao lại thì tôi nên nó nữ chừng lùa nữ chừng chỉ tao mua làm một cả ua em nữ yếu chỉ tao thế giờ không nó cho nên nó cú giới cho nên quay giờ thì lần đầu chỉ nó nửa lúc chế đó vì thế là tiền một cái tattoo nó giờ ấy là giờ đầu chỉ thì tôi nên nói giờ cú tu lại là giờ tiền lúa tôi nên là giờ tôi chữ nữa nó lời gần đầu chỉ cho nó tôi nên ngồi cho cái chỉ giờ nó lúc chế khi tôi tiền tôi nói giờ cú tu thì ni cú giới cho cái khi tôi tiền tôi nói giờ cú li nó nói tiền cho nó nữa nhá.
So, what are the resources that are available for our listeners or family or in the community, that to them and their loved one or victims who are going through all of this and what are the resources. 还差这个把脚的你这个等于啥天叫能我呢找谁目里把大个他找还找 sex trafficking 天了要 human trafficking 呢，叫给把脚的那种的呀。
There are many different kinds of resources available in the community, which are funded by the Minnesota Department of Health. Some are funded by Department of Human Services, and there are other private organizations, funders, which have provided grants and funds to provide different kinds of services, including mental health services, treatment services, and shelters, advocacy, legal services. But you can find all this information by calling one number, which is the Day One hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233. If you call this number and ask about the information in resources that exist in our community, the people answering these calls are very knowledgeable on different resources that are available for victims of human trafficking and exploitation. There's the Family Partnerships Pride Program in Minneapolis, the West Regional Navigator at another organization, nonprofit called The Link. You can obviously send anonymous tips to Bureau of Criminal Apprehension at 1-877-996-6222. And all of these resources can also be found on the city's human trafficking awareness web page. And again, that's Minneapolis, mn.gov/human-trafficking-resources.
这个包系啲蚊到也给把更高做就令我做给只做喏，只系啲落啲喏住啲给把叫落个mua落冇做啲落啲公号落一啲落啲 private fund 落个mua啲，每日只能到也给把操到就令我做给只做喏个mua Minneapolis Public Health 落个mua给把叫人做落 Department of Human Services 啲落冇做可能喏啲那也嘅我开咗你包啲，蚊到也给把。ba chân này cái nó cá hậu hụt lú lư ba chân nói thì cái vừa thì vừa không có nghe đi trả lo lấy ba đâu lúc chế đâu cho nên ngồi cho cái chỉ chọn nhỏ nhỏ lo lấy thì ba đâu chính cho chế lưu tự xua rồi cho nên ngồi cho cái chỉ chọn nó thì chỉ có khi đó này bao thì mấy thứ sát tông này hụt tao rồi từ sát tông nó anh thì lấy giờ chế cái ba tao rồi này thì khi đó này bao lên đó thì cho nên ngồi ô hơi như rồi tao từ sát tông nó mà lấy bao tao giả cái cầu thìไอ้ทอนนี่ชอบว่าเช่นเดในหัวใจ day one hotline เนี่ยอีปัวชาจั่วชาเอาไปเที่ยไปก็ไม่รู้กันหัวเนี่ยเราเดีย family partnership pride program เที่ยเนี่ยลุ้นจม Minneapolis เนาะจะแล้วลูก West Regional Navigator ไอ้ link เที่ยนะเจ้ากูเห็นในเป้าอยู่ที่นี่มันได้ชีสอสื่อได้ชีในสายจังตรงรูปเป็นไอ้ชีสักเขียนแต่ในยังเล็กตื่นน่ะเนาะชอบว่าเช่นเดหัวใจแล้วลูก Bureau of Criminal Apprehension เที่ยแล้วตัวสัตว์ต้องยังชาchưa trâu thì ấy khi đó đi bao đồ ý rằng gì thì mua được chuyện nào sau khi đây ý mình có một chỗ bé không website thì nia Minneapolis mn.gov/human-trafficking-resource nia ấy ở chỗ đó này.
So no, thank you so much for the resources. How can folks who are listening right now or their family who passed and got the information, how can people get involved to support each other and others and their family members and victims of sex trafficking or exploitation? 咁他們就需要你這個等人家就必弄到去那天了就只能有你家了天共地咗有咗幾班那天誒天你把車到了只能天咗我了咗我nhân到了只能了要就只能了包圍殺到咗幾班啊。
We certainly encourage people to learn about the signs of human trafficking by visiting the city's awareness web page. And if they see someone in immediate danger, please call 911. And if you feel comfortable and see someone you think may need help, you can approach them very politely and ask if they're okay. Maybe start up a conversation, ask them what kind of help they would like. if they would need any food, water, or clothing. And you can also share resources about different existing resources in the community, that is, if you know them, or provide them the day one hotline. So these are some of the things that you can do. And there are other ways to get involved and be active, which is again, if you go to the web page can give you many other different activities that you can participate in to be more proactive about the issue and stay engaged.
我哩那天开着你说的包一点，莫到也给那天我那我选那个一点有包到那就听我那录了一点一顿能的，我那包到了点莫照给至少说那来天，cái công ty thì rồi nó thiên này ở bao tôi cho cậu nó là nó từ sinh chuyện nó do tiền anh càng một cái city không web page ấy nếu khi tôi thấy này thì cho cậu ở này bỏ nó rồi cho lấy cho awareness ấy còn này bao tôi này thì từ sinh chuyện cho lấy trả nó nói giờ ấy này thì giờ chỉ tôi lấy cho này thì giờ bao tôi này của cho cái chỉ chọn đấy thì này bao tôi này từ ở cho cái chỉ chọn thì ở một cái quá xí lợi sau sẽ đây như mình đầu từ sau tôi cho ý cho ta hiện tại in check cái bao tôi này đấy thì là do thì này cô chỉ thôi này rồi nó thì này cô rồi nó nữa hay thì có bữa thông cái ba thì rồi nó là cứ cái ba thì này cô là muốn cho là xuống cho xuống lu thế sẽ này bữa nông lợi thế sẽ là bữa chạy pla là bữa họ xã hội trẻ là do bữa một con nhân nà thì cái ba cho là do thì mua thì cái ba chỗ nhau luôn trong là do nhà tiền nhau luôn gì rồi thì là do mua từ sát tông của nhiều con mua ta rồi này thì day one hotline nó cho lợi thì thì lỡ hỏi xin nó lo hồ tao từ sát tôi nó hồ tôi riêng đời thì chỉ khó chính chính chấp lời do nên cả một cái khâu website em muốn đâu giải cái chất sinh nên giờ tao cá tôi lưu tao thì yên thiệt cái ba đi cho tôi nên nó thì
Thank you so much, Suno. Do you have any last words for our listeners, and how can people connect with you? Do you have an email address or phone number to your office that people could connect with you?
I think it's so important, Michael, to really destigmatize sex trafficking and substance use disorder, because there is an overlap between drug use and sex trafficking. Drugs are often used by traffickers to manipulate, to control victim survivors, which is why it's so important for us to be compassionate and not judgmental when working with victim survivors who have both of these victimization. And if someone or anyone in the community want to reach out to me, they can contact me at sunu.shrestha@minneapolismn.gov, which is sunu.shrestha@minneapolismn.gov.
khi cho các báo thì Michael khó trình kiến chấp lời do thì za cái ý tôi nên từ cho cái chỉ sợ rồi nó là hay rồi đi báo thì za cái sai chỉ tao là do tất cái cái một tuổi tôi nên từ thầu nữa cho cái hồi thì sex trafficking law là do human trafficking law là do một cái gì đấy chỉ sửa cho tất cái sự những sự chua còn nói do ít kho segmentation là do thì ít kho ít sự khánh cho nên một tiền sống sả thì do ít kho thì chỉ do chỉ trong này đó ấy yêu là một thua đấy chỉ đi thua tôi nên đợi vị thì là do thì là một thua cho thế rồi chỉ rồi nó vị thì cái sự những sự chua cái sex trafficking law là do thế rồi nó nếu mua cái sự chua nó vị thì tôi nên nó我这个只找那嘛就能我了摸节到了一点都能我了了摸那嘛了实验室错了摸知都能的那样ที่เขา我了实验室错了摸知都能我这个只找那了ที่可能有一考我有我的都能的有主到这个了摸tin都能的天哪那有的都能只找的有主这个有主这个了摸地都能的天哪那有ที่可能有一考我只摸只得里天哪那的กูสาทอก่อนนี่ละมูมั่วจะเก๋โอ้ยงชาที่รู้ช่วยจะแต่ละที่ไอจิตชาละมูอะไรเดียจิตชาละมูถั่วรวยตัวนึงตื้อที่วิเหตุขณะย่อยข้อวันรวยสีโจเดี๋ยวนี้ว่าเจ้าเก๋จิตจอนี่นะเนาะที่ไอยอดเดียแค่รู้ในเป้าเดียคือในสาธิตเต้ากูนั่นเนาะโซ่ใช่ไหมอีเมลเจ้ากูเต้าที่นี่สนุจัดsanasta at minneapolis andจัดกาที่ไอแค่รู้ในเป้ายอสนุ .semester@minneapolis.gov นั่นแหละ
Thank you so much, Sunu, for taking time off to be with us among WIXK Radio. Thank you so much. The Senior Advisor for Human Trafficking Prevention at the City of Minneapolis. Thank you, Sunu. 我找能到了 Sunu，你要读 Senior Advisor for Human Trafficking，要能懂从 Minneapolis，我找你就多讲白天。都或者生当地呢，要我Tony要一度我考虑要到好 Minneapolis Public Health Health Department，你一度。我能了么巴着那么比生的这个都能加上到，有时谈论到的同你做 opioid awareness 了，有 opioid 那么以前的去报的是，以前的有 opioid 那么变么的，我带好路弄烟了啦，了有点么就出去大家，我要好路弄烟了，你变么就还得好烟好处啊了嘛，同你也是谈，就背手或者呢的有的家庭，提到给巴着就能我养了那，你好养了那，一时就错我了么错到好就养着了么到我的路错路了一样道理了呢。So welcome Tony. Tony, help us understand who you are and what you do at the city of Minneapolis. Tony, 他可以个都听见，跟要我今年好路从 Minneapolis。
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, my name is Tony Zaccardi, and I am a public health specialist with the City of Minneapolis Opioid Response Team. A lot of what I do is working with community and working with community partners to help address the opioid crisis in the city of Minneapolis. It also, and now kind of a new thing, I'll be driving a mobile medical unit as well. So we'll be out in community, help doing direct care work with people. We've got nurses and we have hiring a medical director. And so we'll be able to do wound care. We'll be able to work with youth. We'll be able to work with the unhoused population, folks that are looking to get off of opioids. So a little bit of everything.
让些天 Michael 的那股啊，也一度了么，把这样的好点哈，Opioid Response Team 天，我看了个包点，看了那被股了么，这把药照就路上，你容易了 plus 那天，我还是那叫呢，我是应是说 Opioid 那天，了么看了那股被股有么路 medical unit 等待那天，诶，被有了么把了叫呢，我是应是说，ที่被有么ตัว nurse เขามากันยัง的好，比如unit 那天诶，被有么ตัว medical director ก็ยังเราแต่เทียบไปป้าเราจะตู้ใจรัวโลแล้วมูป้าเราเตียยาเตียใกล้ต้องฉันจะขอตื้อเราแต่อย่ารอยนอเทียบไปยังเมื่อกี้ป้าจะขอเป็นลำดับนั้นนะอย่า
Only help us understand how is the city of Minneapolis working to raise awareness about opioids in youth? 其實必須攏從 Minneapolis 做好路，我呢，那麼我就路八做就能夠靠貼到你這個等於係做個來到咗啲 opioid 即 youth 來就能落實呢那種嘢。
The youth is kind of been a big focus we see in community and obviously with the city and the community partners that we do work with. Especially right now, Native and African American and East African youth are a big priority for the city because that's where we're seeing the most use. Last year, we started a youth prevention campaign and an education campaign focused really on peer-to-peer empowerment, getting the youth to work together to start the conversation with each other and to help each other, when there's need. We're also providing resources, for adults, be it caregivers, teachers, counselors, or other trusted adults, just to be a voice to help them start the conversation with teens and youth about drug use and misuse. We've created posters, social media campaigns that are running and have run on social media, Facebook, Snapchat, and the like, and other videos just to help to educate the community. A lot of those featured youth from the Boys and Girls Club, the American Indian Center, who are really excited to participate and just kind of show each other what, ways to address it, and especially for kids to talk to kids, to understand that it's not cool, and there's not benefits to using.
มันต่อยาเทียให้ฉันสักกี่ไปอยู่เนี่ยเราเนาะเทียไปกูตระมูกินเทียเกกงเตยันจอนเราเนาะว่าแล้วเขาเดียชื่อเส้นชับเลยเนี่ยเราเนาะมาอย่าป้าเราให้แน่งว่าแต่ดูเทียเดี๋ยวนักฆ่าในเทียนั่นนะหยอกยังแต่อยากตรงนี้เนาะเทียไปกูละมูป้าเราขนาดเทียตรงนี้ยงอภาหนึ่งปล้องเดอไปสู้ตระมูถาดซานาเดียเขาเอาไปยูสเนาะเราจะเดี๋ยวตุ้นใส่หลวนะหยอกไอ้ขนาดกูยัยคอไปจะละมูเดียmua cho luôn này chứ mà thua tờ khi cho thì cho tuân sai luôn á còn là bao thiệp với cô là mù với khai campaign nó lũi cho tờ lô tờ cho rồi thiệp là mù cho hậu Facebook lô Snapchat thì rồi nó là mù thì khi cho là bao thì sẽ cái gì nó như chỉ khó rong nó vậy thiệp tới thì còn nó có giờ thì ở bên cho là mù khi cho mình tụi mình nhớ ba cho thiệp với cô mua lấy cho nhiều tuân sai luôn nhớ rồi tờ là khỏi giúp program nó thiệpว่าแล้วกูเรามูกงเตถาจอนาเดียก็มีอยู่แล้วก็เช็คมีอยู่ที่ไอ้ก่อนเดียจะนักคู่สระแล้วกู这新条新路，这个么我用它这些给是因是穿那天那要的，可能要靠真正的被好么些了么做要做路，贴贴着จะต้องใส่หลวดที่ใช้ให้เดียจะ给是เนาะนี่จะ要靠用。
Tony, what are some of the ways that the city of Minneapolis is working to prevent opioids use in our communities? Can you help us understand so that folks can navigate the different type of resource that perhaps you will share with us later? Hai trong the Lundong Minneapolis cho kế wa ho lu lo mu ba chuan ni chi ke den cha lo mu ti tai cho kế shi yang ho chua ho lu be lu je jona ho jong ni ja ka ta be.
That's a great question, Michael. A lot of the main thing we do is we provide funding to community groups that work directly with those that are in addiction or in directly surrounded by addiction. We found that there are communities in the Twin Cities where neighborhoods are 100% affected by opioid use, be it, elders, grandparents, kids, so everyone's got somebody that they've lost or know that is an active addiction. The money goes to peer recovery services, housing, treatment, life-saving medications, and more. One of the big ones we use naloxone, Narcan. We've got a vending machine here in South Minneapolis, and we're putting another one in over north that folks can access that machine for no barrier, free of charge. They can walk up and have it in their house ready in case there's an emergency. We're launching a mobile medical unit to help underserved communities. Basic health screenings, blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, med consultation, wound care, vaccinations, maybe mental health counseling and referrals down the line. We're going to be doing youth health services, physicals, dental care, wellness checks, meds for opioid use disorder. That'll be a big one. Brixadi, which is something that'll help stave the craving for opioids. While it doesn't prevent use, like I said, the Narcan vending machine is available 24 hours a day, and it's dispensed over 1,200 boxes of naloxone, which is 2,400 doses, and so that tells us there's a need and a desire for it here in the community.
这个是演出呢，你กูอยากขอเดียจริงๆชับเลยโอ้ยเดียไปยันเทียกี่ป้าอยู่แล้วมั้งป้าจะไปยันแล้วไม่ไปสิ่งยอดไปรุ่นรุ่งเนาะใครจะก็ป้าไอเดียจะเกี่ยวว่าไปยันแล้วมั้งป้าเนาะมาเมื่อเราอยากที่ไปมั่วขอนอร์แคนแล้วอยากเดียขอนอร์แคนเนี่ยเราซ้ำมันเนี่ยเปลือกเทียว่าเลยอยากเดียเนี่ยเรานอร์มันเนี่ยเปลือกเทียไปยันแล้วมั้งจีใจเนี่ยเราเดอจะนอร์แคนเนี่ยอยากจะขอนอร์แคนว่าเธอตัวนี้ว่านี่是ยัง是错了诶ไปยันแล้วมั้งเดียchoจะช่วยเราโดนหนึ่งก่อนหนึ่งที่ตัวยังที่ตัวช่วยเรานะอย่างที่ขณะกูไปกูมัวเนี่ยของนู้นตรงเทียเราจะเล่นไม่เป็นสิ่งว่าเราตัวสีเทียเมื่อจุดนี้เราตัวมัวเราจะมัวให้ที่จะนั่งวัวสียังสีช่วยเราอีปัวสิ่งปัวมากูอยากเราหน่อยว่าจะนั่งเราเนี่ยแต่อย่าจีเราเลยพอที่เยอะเราเลยเทียที่อยากวัวจะนั่งชั้นดังใจวัวเราตัวเสียเลยที่เดียจะเกี่ยสียังสีช่วยเลยเดียสีโอป่วยนะเทียนะอย่างเดี๋ยวพี่กูมัวเราอยากที่เรามัวเทียกี่ป้าอยู่เทียพี่กูตัวเรามัวจีcho là có mobile unit thiết có mobile unit nó chỉ nhưng mà cứ năm mới nó hồ là kiểu là mua ở sai chưa cho cái nó cá hồ hú thiết là muốn rùa tê mì tê lô là muốn rùa tê trà sen trà kỳ là muốn sai cho tiền sen cái bún tua trà bún trò thì giờ rồi nó thiết là dùng mà bây giờ nó nhớ nó hồ thiết có chỉ kiến cha mà do 我了一个一个月了么着啥月了叫都在落为了整落天了呀的，是不东家给靠年了呀的呀我。เขามอกันเก่งแต่อยากรู้เนาะเทียนั่นนะอยากจะกุ้งมันเราอยากว่าไปเจอมันจีจ้าเทียเคยรู้ในจอเนี่ยตีสระเป้าไอเดียไปเราหมุนมันเราอยากกินป้าจั่วจะไปจะละไม่เป็นสิ่งอยากไปร้อนจมนับตัสนอนเนี่ย
Tony, what are some of the signs of opioid use that families or friends or people out there should be on the lookout for? Please share with us. Hay cho thì cho có một tàu chủ sĩ hay tiền ô tiền mà tụi nên nó sĩ nhân sĩ chua nè cho nên ấy nhận tin là cái tin tra thiết tiền mà dùng mấy tụ lâu bỏ giờ cho phụ nữ bỏ dùng họ bỏ dùng tiền đi chịu tàu thiết kia tàu thì dùng đồng chí cái ba trong nữa giá trị.
I think a lot of these are going to be similar to what Shunu said as far as the sex trafficking signs. Pardon me. Not all, but with opioids, you oftentimes see people nodding out or falling asleep when they would otherwise be engaged. Maybe you'll see a change in friends, loss of income, or asking for money, a shift in priorities, mood changes and irritability, making excuses, making up stories to get medications. Just general poor decision making in general, change in sleep habits, and then secret keeping and lying. So I think you'll see a lot of those kind of interact with the sex trafficking as well, and how to recognize signs of people that might be in crisis.
Cái giờ ở sáng chuyện của này là một bỏ tôi hay tiệt giờ tôi nên xí nè mà rồi giờ lấy xin nụ này họ thả tăng là nói hết sức mình chỉ dùng ý xí sự chứ giờ khi rồi cái bao tiệt cho nên tôi xí dân xí chua ở quỷ đó mà thế rồi nó chua cho hành lâu này chỉ đi sử khoa tiệtอยู่ตื้นđó này thải nhiều ta mình rồiอยู่nó là tôi xin chỉ đi kèn lâu chua rồi lâu tiệt rồi nó rồi cái bỏ tôi tiệt tôi nên nó nửa lòng nửa cho phương hiệu này ít sự cho ok này nó này chín cho ok rồi lâu là một cho hay tiệtนี่ย่อยทุนหนึ่งวัวตอนย้อนนี้จีดิชั่วโมงเนี่ยโลนะนะอย่าเตะรอยนอแล้วย่อยเดียก็นุ่งใจอีคอชีเอ็นนี่จีดิแล้วให้เนื้อให้เนื้อกี้อีคอตาอีคอตัวนะอย่าตัวนี้รอยนอเทียแล้วมูโจให้เดียเนื้อย่อยทุนหนึ่งวัวจะได้กับเตาชวนนอเตะรอยนอเทียแล้วย่อยเดียทุนหนึ่งวัวnếu mua đồ nô món đồ uống đồ nô thì ở rồi nó này giờ tụi nên rồi nó thiên là này giờ chị nếu cứ giờ tao giờ trả thiên thì chị ý là xin được hay là thiên ủa cho sinh chỉnh thiên chứ bự thiên cho cố nữa chị dùng ý là rồi cho nên ủa lấy tiền trâu cái sex trafficking thiên là này giờ.
Tony, now the most important question is what resources are available to people and families, especially people families in the city of Minneapolis? Can you help us understand? Có chính chính chấp lại lo lung mà thì cho kế bán chùa, và chính chính chấp lại đó là chỉ có tên là trả lung trong Minneapolis na, hiện là chỉ có tên là trả sân đầu rồi một ba, lời cho nên lời bao bây giờ thì cho lời tụ lưu bây giờ thì cho nên người bỏ yêu sa kế bán này cho kế bán chùa yêu dùng cái.
Probably the most important question. Of course, I point you to the City of Minneapolis website, minneapolis.gov/youth-opioid-resources. There, we'll have a lot of links to a lot of different community groups that can connect with people individually and send them into the right direction and give them more information about opioid use, how to talk to people, things like that. It's important to know, for people to know if they're struggling, it's hard to talk about, but finding a trusted friend, if you're a youth, finding a trusted adult, counselor, teacher, spiritual leader, a family member, somebody who won't judge you. Other things we offer on the north side in North Minneapolis, we have this Fire Station 14. There's the Maury Safe Station, and that's a place where you can walk in. They'll greet you judgment-free, no questions asked, and they'll connect you with a peer recovery coach. And oftentimes, if you're looking to get into treatment, they'll help you, within 24, 48 hours, you could maybe start outpatient treatment, possibly inpatient treatment. So there's so many people that are trying to help. And it's just a matter of reaching out and connecting with the people that are in active addiction, getting them to see, and once they're ready and they want help, it's out there in such a great way. It's endless. People like groups like Twin Cities Recovery Project, Southside Harm Reduction, the Liveness Project, There's endless places in the Twin Cities that are here to help, for sure.
开着呢，点么到也给把酒尿被弄着那天，可曾经差不多个到了么弄个点在给把酒一来几天，我开这个包点么到也给把酒尿被弄着呢，么一百天，我有么到也天，就看着呢么到被个 website Minneapolis 们info opioid use 那样，今年个么着好天，了有么到也，我包点呢看药看够就，今年我有体验体错了，但是有一点。nay kun chai tia chai tia lo le no tu yo halu sha chi to ne lo le ya tia lo ya sha chi to ne tia ne ya tu ning chi na lo nei so she dei tian tie tu ning wo nei chia xia tie tu ning wo lo ya chi thuo ne tie tu ning wo lo nei yuan zheng xie zhao tia yo nei tu mi yo ya tie tu ning lao wo nei zheng xie dao zhao la ya tia rồi nó yo ho lo lu tia North Minneapolis the lu fire department nhớ nó more sa there lo tia lu fire station ở cột lâu nó đấy nhở lỡ cu yếu chạy tao nè chỉ nông nhỉ đấy chỉ ni liên chế cái ba cho nè giờ thế này một cho nó lỡ nè sa lỡ nè sa thì cho liên nở nên gặp rất mong một rất gì mong sư lỡ yếu chủ tôn chế cái ba cho nè lỡ giờ thế lỡ yếu mua cái ba cho nè ấy cho nè cái thì cho trở nên mua inpatient là tao lỡ yếu mua outpatient là tao thế thì lỡ yếu mua đâu giờ cái ba cho lỡ cho công hậu lỡ yếu mua thiê ấy bị cái cái liveless program tao lấy cái rồi nó thiê
Tony, how can people get involved, and is there anything else that you would like to add to what you already shared with us? 就你这个等于在于讲得到你家的保障几天，我的个不错里呀给撇到你这个等于在个项目撇发都被晓得了。
Yeah, absolutely. I think being present in your community is a big factor. Having regular conversations with youth. And again, I brought up the naloxone or the Narcan. Having compassion, and talking with people without judgment. You don't know what their day is like, but and part of that too is reducing the stigma of having naloxone in the home because it is such a life-saving tool. I've used it twice to save a life. Had I not had this with me, and found the person at the right time and just injected this in their nose with a simple spray, they wouldn't be here. I saved two 18-year-old boys one day. So just knowing that people are hurting, people that are in addiction. So the compassion is a big part, and that's what drives me to do the work that I do.
Khi rồi này bảo thì cái công ty nhớ hồi này lối rõ là giờ thì đi giờ khó sinh chính chấp lời thì ở này giờ là mua thì cái công ty thì chuyển mua nhớ hồi này luôn trong giờ khó rong hàng là một bát thơ và tụi cho sẽ chỉ cho tuôn xài lúa nhớ họ có lối rõ thì mỗi lúc chua giờ thì cái là mua thì chua lúc tiền nọ lại sao giờ nọ kẹn thì lúc chua nó giờ khó chính của tụi tao là một thả đồ là thì ở yên thì giờ tụi nên tụi mua lúc chua nó nhớ họ vào chế nữa giờ khó chịu sinh đầu thì cú mua lúc chua nó thì nhớ họ lúc vào lúc chế vì thì cũng mua lúc chua nó nhớ cũng vào lúc chế cú tao là một chợ ở thì nhiều tu lúa ở nhiều không mà cú gì trong sư ấy nên nó là chừng mà sẽ chế nhau vì giờ cũng mua lúc chua ở là bát chỉnh bây giờ thì bát thịt giờ dân giờ chua nó thì ấy nó đang có thêm một sẽ chế nhau ấy cũng khi đó này bao thì cái giờ là mua thì hai lúc phải cho ít này tư là giờ thì sai chỉ tao ít này tư vì cái chuyện gì chua nó một trò chơi này nhỏ một cái lúc chua cho nó cho nên cho cái cho những là giờ thì cho những sinh trưởng nó thọ này thì
Thank you so much, Tony, for everything that you and your team, do for all of our residents in the city of Minneapolis, and especially the health department. Thank you so much for being here and being a guest and share this very important information with us. Our hope is for you to come back and talk some more about opiates awareness and perhaps Narcan, how to implement it, how to use it, how helpful it is. And so thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to be with us. What chop lại đó Tony, cái tôi chừng tôi kia đó bên thì tôi mua chú ý thì mua cái kia thì cái bán nhau họ từ thì hay cho mà cho cái hậu nhân một chuột nữa để dùng xe điện luôn tổng đây là yếu tố在嗰度阿東那必須談咗，就攞拿錢要時間，攞出去把就就能我摸嘅 我口音口传的来中呀，这是当然我找到都莫内容没有都采录的时候，我就那 Thank you so much 我找到个星期六他个是的，这个那个种 Have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the sun while still there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
你这个等人吃啊，我找我那阵等到北鸟在单咯，WIXK 一起就是program 古龙中 Minneapolis 啦，少林咯，星期多内里绕，或者是人之间那个种星期多。